Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast Retro Life for You, movies of the 1980s and now the 1990s. My name is Chris Adams, host of the show. And with us again, as always, co host of the show, Mr. Travis Rollins.
Whoop whoop. What's happening, man?
Not much, nothing much. Just ready to get this show
Well,
going, get it on the road. Just got done watching some
heck yeah.
foosball.
Been watching that. Don't you know that foosball is a devil?
Foosball is the devil, and the devil wears black and white stripes, from what I've heard for
What
the last season.
that
So
foosball?
But I don't think they can say that tonight though.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been spending a lot of my weekend this weekend actually binge watching a TV show I used to watch when it was out, and I've almost got to the
Real.
first season. And
It,
if you've ever seen Prison
Charm,
Break, nope,
Prison
Prison
Break.
Break,
Awesome, awesome,
yeah,
awesome flick.
no, I've seen Charmed several times over, so
Prison
give it
Break's
a
really, really good.
give it a break. Yeah, Prison Break has been really good. It's still in the first season where they're actually in the Fox River prison trying to get their way worked out. It's only got a few more episodes to go though before it's done with that. Then I got three more. I think it's three more seasons, and then a shortened season that came out like years later.
Yeah, I was so sad when that one went off. That was great.
It was, but there's only so much you could do with it though.
Yeah, I
It
mean, once they got on the run and stuff.
it was kind of limited.
Yeah,
Still called Prison Break. I mean, Prison Break on the run.
Prison Break on the run.
It was on the run, but it's still a prison break
Lock
going on
them up in
somewhere.
another spot, and they could have got out of that prison too.
Well, they did that. You remember in
Well, I
season
know.
3. So, but
Yeah.
how's your weekend going? I know you're a little bit on the tired side today. How'd your
It's
weekend
all
go?
right. It was all right. We had Tasha's birthday on Friday, so we went and did that. Enjoyed that, and yesterday I enjoyed the couch.
A day
Did
of
a lot
rest.
of sleeping. Did a lot of sleeping. Didn't do anything I wanted to get done,
You know,
but you have to have it sometimes.
but your body will let you know
Hmm.
when you need it, and there's nothing you can do to fight it. You're gonna get that sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got put down. I'm talking about that. It was. I wanted to get up and do stuff, but it just wasn't happening.
No, no. Well, I mean, we've had a good movie this weekend, at least to get into and talk about. It's always been a fun movie for me to watch, and it's a sequel to its previous movie of Every Which Way You Can. Today we're doing Every Which Way But Loose,
Every which way but
and from
loose.
1978. Today we're doing the 1980 sequel, Any Which Way You Can, which is Clint Eastwood and Sandra Locke, Jeffrey Owens, and the orangutan. His they call him Clyde in the movie. I forget what it's. They have an
Old
actual name for him
Clyde.
as well. But
Old Clyde.
for those watching, you can see my name up there. This week is a dedication to the movie. It's Right Turn Clyde.
Right turn,
Uh,
Clyde.
I don't care how many times they say Right Turn Clyde and that orangutan punches somebody. I laugh.
Yeah.
I'm easily
It
amused
was all
also too,
right.
though. So
Yeah, probably.
although so probably too, I'm easily amused. I mean,
And the reason why he punches people, if you don't know, is because Clint would say, "Right turn, Clyde," and Clyde he didn't have no he didn't have no turn signals on his truck. So when he said "Right turn, Clyde," Clyde would hang his hand out the window. He'd throw his right hand out the window.
right. And just so happens if somebody's out there that he don't like and he wants to get rid of them, he just simply says right turn, Clyde, and he slings it out there and connects and knocks.
Yeah.
Especially when the Black Widow biker gang pulls up by the truck and they're throwing threats
Right?
out, and he gets my Philo gets tired of hearing it and says right turn, Clyde, and he does it, and they all fall down one after the other.
Yeah, knocks them over like dominoes.
Yeah,
And
it
you
was
know what though?
pretty
I don't
good.
like right turn, Clyde, as much as I do scrap the caddy, Clyde.
Oh gosh, that was great.
Scrap the caddy's pretty daggone
Scrap
good
the
too.
caddy. Guy was getting a little smart with him, letting him know it's threatening they would come back for him and everything. He's like,
Yeah.
scrap the caddy, Clyde.
He said, "Are they going to be driving Cadillacs too?" And he said, "Yeah, long black ones." He's like, "Scrap the caddy, Clyde."
Right.
He ripped it apart. He started off yanking the door off the hinges. I loved it.
Right. Door come off first, and some bumpers, the hood. He's beating
Yeah,
down the top of it. He tried to take a tire off, but it wouldn't come off. But
yeah.
it done something where it was wobbling when he was
That
driving
was
down.
hilarious.
This movie opened up opening weekend was December 21st, 1980, and it drew $8,024,663. It's a $15 million budget estimated, but it drew in the
Five
opening
and a half,
weekend
about
eight.
5 months old, about 6 months old.
Yeah,
Five.
I would have been in 1980. I would have been uh that's a little over seven, 7.5 roughly.
Yep.
The movie grossed worldwide, however, 70,687,344. So it more than made its money back, which is good. Almost 5 times the money, not quite,
Yeah.
almost. So they did. It also made a lot of money over the decade as being like a cult classic type film for Clint Eastwood. Mainly
Yeah.
because of the orangutan. I think
Of-
people just love that.
I was gonna say it was definitely because of Clyde.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
you hear people like my parents, they'll talk about, you remember that movie, remember that Clint Eastwood movie? You don't remember it, Right Turn, Clyde. You don't remember that? Remember that, Clyde? Oh, Right Turn,
Clyde.
Clyde. But I don't remember nothing else about it.
For the people who may not have seen either of those two movies, Clint Eastwood is a character called Philo Beddoe who basically takes fights for a living, makes money that way.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, he's a truck driver too, though.
he does. I say he does do some other. Is it a truck driver or is it
Uh, Might not a truck driver,
a
was it
tow
a
truck?
tow truck? There you go.
Because his brother, played by Jeffrey Owens, drives a tow truck mostly.
Yeah,
And but anyway, since he takes part in bare knuckle fights as he does to make some more money than he can earn from his car, he's a car repair business. His
yeah,
brother pulls the cars in. He works on the cars when they come in.
yeah. That's what it is.
So he decides to retire from fighting. But when the mafia comes along and arranges another fight, he's kind of pushed into it. They kind of take somebody, and he's kind of forced into it to get them back. So a motorcycle gang and an orangutan called Clyde, played by CJ the orangutan, all add to the fun of the movie.
Orangutan,
So
orangutan,
orangutan, whatever. Potato, orangutan, orangabang.
orange
Eh,
gootin.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm gonna call it. Clyde the orange gootin.
Always good. Great cast in the movie: Clint Eastwood, Sandra Locke, Jeffrey Lewis. Clint Eastwood and Sandra Locke. Let's jump on that right now for a second. We were talking
Yeah,
about
I
this
was
earlier.
gonna have a pre-show discussion on them.
Yeah, they've played in a lot of films together, and
Yeah.
we were discussing. Of course, we got Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can. There's The Gauntlet. There was Outlaw Josie Wales. There was Sudden Impact. Was there another one? Was there a sixth one?
Yeah, I
I
can't remember, but yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
off the
sure
top of my head, I can't
there
remember
was
for
enough
sure.
to where it was like, are they dating or were they married?
Yeah, Travis posed the question, were they ever married? And I was like, I don't know, but I got to look this up. So took a moment and looked it up, and it says no, that Clint Eastwood and Sandra Locke were never married. However, they
However,
they were in a relationship from 1975 to 1989, while both of them were married to other people.
ooh, how about
So
that?
for anybody who
Makes
thinks old Clint might be a little angel or something, no.
right. Makes you wonder too, because Jeffrey Lewis was in like 6 movies with Clint too.
And Sandra Locke wasn't doing any better. So Locke was cast in 6 movies, it says, as Eastwood's sidekick. It began They began the affair in 75 while filming Outlaw Josie Wales.
Mm,
Now Eastwood and Locke met in 72 while Locke was auditioning for his film Breezy, but once again didn't begin the affair of 75.
Breeze.
Locke was married to her childhood best friend Gordon Lee Anderson from 67 until her death in 2018, and Eastwood was married to model Maggie Johnson from 53 to 87.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, I mean,
So they was able to keep it quiet, or the other one just didn't even care.
I started to say I wonder if they ever found out, because I mean,
Yeah,
maybe that, like you said, maybe they knew and just didn't care because the money was coming in,
right.
and they were doing their own thing too. It could have very well been just like that.
No
So
doubt.
we just don't know. We just don't know. There was a question posed of why did Clint Eastwood dump Sandra Locke, and it says he has all the rights and you have none. Eastwood, meanwhile, said that he had ended the relationship due to Locke's marriage to her good friend Gordon Anderson. She spent 98 to 100% of her time coddling him, he claimed. I was bored with it. At some point, you go, I want a normal relationship in life, which I thought he had since he was married.
He was married, you would think. You would think.
So maybe it wasn't too normal for him. Jeffrey Lewis,
I
like
love
you
that
said,
dude.
quite a few
He's the
movies
guy
with
you want
him.
to be with. He's the guy you want to be your grandpa.
He's all right. So he's been in what I can remember. He was in the Double Impact movie with Van Damme. He
Hmm.
played the guy. raised one of the twins, and the other one
Hmm.
went to an orphanage, I believe.
Yeah.
He was also in Only the Strong, played a teacher there. That's a Mark Dacascos film. He played
Well,
a teacher at the school that Mark Dacascos had gone to and come back to, trying to help clean things up.
yeah.
He's been in lots of great things, and I
So
always get him mixed
he,
up with Jeffrey Blake for some reason because Jeffrey and Jeffrey they're spelled the same, and we've had
yeah,
Jeffrey Blake on the show with an interview, and I when people say Jeffrey who, I'm like Jeffrey well, I say Jeffrey Owens. There's a Jeffrey Owens too. This is Jeffrey Lewis,
yeah.
but then
He
Jeffrey
is
Blake's the
Juliet.
guy we had on the show.
He's Juliet Lewis's daddy.
Oh, was it the dad? Yeah, I knew he had a daughter, but I forgot who it was.
Yeah, Juliet Lewis. Yeah, he was the banker. He was also just because it's got to let us do so much. He was the banker in Maverick. He
Yep.
was in the one of the White Fang movies, but he was also Terry in the Lawnmower Man. That's where I like my big one because the Lawnmower Man is like one of my favorite movies with him and Jeff Fahey.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like his caretaker, like his uncle or something in there. But he was good in that. And then
Yeah.
he was the captain in Tango and Cash. We did that not long ago, so I
Right.
remember that. And then I mean he's been in tons and tons and tons of stuff. But he's a cool dude. I like him. Everything I've ever seen him in, I've enjoyed his character in it.
Yeah, and then we had William Smith, who plays the guy he fights in the movie.
Who I just found out y'all played Conan's daddy. I knew he looked familiar in this movie. I was like, where do I know this guy from? But he plays Conan's dad at the beginning, who's has one of my absolute favorite quotes of all time ever, man. It made
Now,
me
is he the
like,
one that was telling him with the riddle of steel?
it wasn't the riddle of steel though. I mean, it was, but it wasn't because he was telling him that there was nothing on earth you could trust, not man, beast, or woman, but this you can trust. And that technically wasn't the riddle of steel. Thulsa Doom told him the riddle of steel later on
Okay,
when he told him that steel isn't strong, flesh is stronger.
yeah.
And he said, what is the sword compared to the hand that wields it? Like without the hand, it's nothing. So we are the riddle of steel is that steel is nothing without us. We manipulate steel.
Well, the character he
We are
plays
what
in the
makes it
movie
strong.
is Jack Wilson. That's the name of the fighter.
Yeah.
He a pretty decent '80s here. He's on a lot of television series as well.
Yeah.
Looking at BJ and the Bear, Fantasy Island, The Dukes of Hazzard,
BJ
uh,
Bear.
Code Red, and then of course this is like you said, Conan the Barbarian, Conan's father. He's in Matt Houston, the TV series, the Fall Guy TV series. I don't remember a TV show called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, but he was on that as well. We
Right.
got Chips. He was in The Outsiders, played the role of a store clerk, something
Stay
like a
golden, pony boy.
Sego, and Knight Rider, Benson.
Yeah, you
Uh,
passed Rumblefish. Rumblefish is kind of like it's not true. It's a spiritual successor to the Outsiders. It was also written by what is his name? C Clark something. I forgot.
I
Oh man,
forget.
I can't remember who wrote the books. But anyway, Outsiders and the Rumblefish were written by the same author.
I have not seen Rumblefish. I
It's
didn't know about it.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen the movie, but I've read the book because when I read the Outsiders, I read Rumblefish as well.
Yeah,
And it's along the same kind of thing. It's the like the not the grease. No, it was the greasers and the socias
right.
but Rumblefish I think had Matt Damon in it,
Okay.
and he
His
was
character from The Outsiders.
no, he was Rusty in that one.
Okay.
I don't think he was Rusty in no, yeah, because it's a different story,
Yeah.
and it also had Nick Cage, Lawrence Fishburne, Chris Penn, Mickey Rourke, Dennis Hopper, Diane Lane.
Quite a few names in that as well.
Yeah, man. Tom Waits. So
Hmm.
yeah, go back and check out Rumblefish.
I mean, you could just mention Diane Lane. That would have been good enough. I mean,
There you go.
this dude was also in one of my favorite TV series when I was young, called The Master. Lee Van Cleef and Timothy Van Patten and Sho Kosugi.
Okay.
But he picks up, like I said, quite a few TV shows. T.J. Hooker, Hardcastle McCormick, but he was in Red Dawn as well. The movie he played one of the Russian soldiers, I believe.
Strelnikov.
Yes, Strelnikov.
Strelnikov.
Um, trying to find other movies. I mean, he's been all he was in all the TV series back in the day, all the popular ones. So
Yeah, you
any
got it.
'80s TV series you've seen, he was in it. The movie with Gary Busey, Eye of the Tiger, he was in it. Played a character called Blade.
Okay.
A movie called Commando Squad, Bulletproof.
He was
That was
Captain
Gary
Ripley in
Busey as
Maniac
well.
Cop. That's a scary movie from 1988.
Right,
Maniac
right.
Cop. That's a
So
good one.
had Platoon Leader. He was busy in the '80s, man.
He did a lot, didn't he?
He was super busy in the
He must have been
'80s.
one of those character actors you didn't recognize who you was looking at. That
Or
might be what it
you
was.
just, or you knew him and you recognized him because he was in everything. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I remember seeing him in
Yeah,
a lot of stuff, and I knew him. There's several people in this movie that I can tell you for a fact that was in the 18 many
yeah.
times over.
Heck,
So I mean, it's crazy what all you remember seeing them in and everything. Growing up.
the
Uh,
Rollerblade 7 in 1991. What is this?
he was
I
in the
gotta look
Young.
into this.
Did you ever watch the Young Riders TV series?
Uh, I think I may have seen some of it. Wasn't that it wasn't necessarily a riff on Young Guns, wasn't it? About the
Everybody,
Pony Express thing starting
right?
up.
Yes,
Yeah,
everybody thought it was based on Young Guns, but it wasn't.
yeah. It
If
was
you if
about
you
the
if you
Pony
never
Express
watch it, you know
starting up.
that because it's on the Pony Express starting up and what they did. It was a really good show. I wish it had went longer than it had.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it did not though.
yeah. It seems like
Um,
I did see some of that.
he was in a movie you mentioned earlier, Maverick. Jeffrey Lewis was in it as well, and
Hmm.
this guy was in Maverick also. Played a riverboat poker player, is all it says. So small
Mm,
role in the background. Walker, Texas Ranger.
okay.
So
Return of the Rollerblade 7. They did two of them. I'm gonna have to look into this.
I don't know what this is, but it makes me wonder. All it says is a video. It's called Debbie Does Damnation.
Oh, oh. We know what she did in Dallas
Detroit.
and Detroit.
If you're a Warcraft player, there's a running joke of Darnassus.
Darn asses.
Darnassus Decilis.
Mm,
Anyway, um, anyway, we'll leave it at that. He was in a lot of stuff. So get off of that before I find something else. Oh my
pretty
gosh.
funny.
Barry Corbin, I mentioned him earlier. He was called Fat Zach. That was his name in the show.
Hmm.
He played the general in War Games. He played in uh my gosh, wasn't he also no, that was somebody else. I'm sorry. Hold on. I know what it is. I got it on my tip of my tongue.
You're
I can't
getting
think of
confused
it.
with bitches don't know about my diabetes, ain't you?
No, not
the,
him.
the show with
Um
course.
I know he's in Tulsa King, the new TV series. He's been in Yellowstone. That's recent stuff, but I'm talking about back in the day in the '80s. He was, like I said, the general in the war games who was always wanting to call the president and get ready to launch the missiles because he thought the computer, he didn't believe the computer was doing what it was doing, and he
Yeah.
thought the Russians were actually attacking or invading or something. So,
Ah,
but of course, he had parts in the A team. Like I mentioned, everybody's been in the A team at one point.
for sure.
If they're stars in the '80s. Um, I'm trying to find. Okay, now there's War Games right there. Okay, so War Games, and
He
after
was the
that, there.
sheriff in Six Pack that we watched not long ago.
That's it. Six pack, exactly.
I
I
know
knew it
what it
was
was.
something. I could not put my finger on it, but I knew it was something we've seen recently.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I'm glad you've seen that. It saved me a lot of search in there. But I mean, he's more of a character actor like everybody else there. Michael Cavanaugh played
Hmm.
Patrick Scarf. He's also been in a lot of several A Team and Knight Rider episodes and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Um, and I mentioned to you earlier, I said that Julie Brown was in there. She played one of the girls that was with Fat Zach. They were doing
Hmm.
the playing strip poker in that hotel until they found out about the fight that was going on. That's
Hmm.
probably some of her earliest work or something because I remember her being in coming into MTV shortly after that, I believe.
Ah. Well,
And
I
it was
know
weird. Did you remember MTV? They had downtown Julie Brown as one of the
downtown Julie
VJs,
Brown.
and then this Julie Brown would also be on there. It just employed at the same time and doing different shows. People used to they just
Yes.
heard the name Julie Brown and would get them confused.
Years.
Obviously, they look nothing alike.
We
If you
skipped
see what
right
I'm
over
saying?
old Bill McKinney, who was Kern in Rambo First Blood.
We did.
He must have liked him too, because he was also Captain Terrell in The Outlaw Josie Wells. Seemed like uh, seemed like Clint might have had a few folks that he just kind of maybe he enjoyed the way they worked and put him in a couple more movies with him. You know,
What is some of the when you think about this movie? Obviously, one of the first things we think of is Clyde. You know, the orangutan,
for
right?
sure.
So, but let's take him out of the picture for a minute, for a moment. What is it that stands out to you that you think of first thing when you think of every which way but loose in any which way you can? What else sticks out to you?
Except for Clyde, if we're
Yeah,
taking Clyde away,
if you're just taking him out momentarily, not thinking about Clyde, what else
uh,
stands out to you?
I don't know. Clint and his Clint. I don't. Everything I watch Clint in is kind of comical to me, because although it's like I said last week. I revere, respect, love, and cherish Clint Eastwood as an American great. You know what I mean? The actor and the director and the writing and everything he's done. And
Hmm.
he's a national treasure. I'll even put it that far. But to me, he's not the best actor ever. It's like he- he's not that good, honestly.
No,
And to me, it's kind of comical to see him beside the people that he's with, and he's always like the baddest dude in the room. And I don't know. The more when I was growing up, I could see it, but now that I'm older and stuff, I don't know if it's because of the action heroes that we've had through the years or what, but it's just I don't know. Clint's almost comical to me, so I do enjoy watching him. But it's gotten to be for that reason. It's not that he's a tough guy. He's comical to me, like
for me,
without being.
for me, it's the Black Widows,
Oh
the
God, they
the
are hilarious.
motorcycle gang, and the leader is John Quaid. And John Quaid, you've seen him in so much stuff. One of the earliest things I remember him from was him being Augie. I think his name was Augie Detweiler.
Yeah,
Augie, it was Augie something, and I want to say it was Augie Detweiler. I'm scrolling down. Yeah, Augie Detweiler in the Dukes of Hazard. He was in the
I
first
don't
season,
remember that. I don't remember
and
Augie.
Augie Detweiler had in the next county over from them had a car thing, and they were racing cars too. I think like a crash dirt, like the little demolition derbies and stuff.
Yeah.
But they had a thing going with stolen cars too, I believe, based
Okay.
off all of that. He was also in the A Team. He was also in Knight Rider. He was also in BJ and the Bear, Vegas, Buck Rogers. Um,
Okay.
he
Now
he's
I might remember that.
yeah, he's been around for a while. Chips, the movie we're doing tonight, obviously. But he had another thing that stood out to me as a movie. He was in La Bamba. He was a bartender in La Bamba.
Okay.
The TV series Werewolf. You mentioned that not too long ago about watching it, I believe.
No, I think that was
Was that Marty?
yeah, that was Marty.
Okay, Marty. He's in Return of the Lonesome Dove as well, in '93.
Yeah, now I can see that.
So, but he didn't. I want to say he passed away in, let's see here, 2009. He was 71 years old when he passed away. But
Oh
he'd been
wow.
around. He'd been
He got
around early
started.
on, though.
He got started a while back.
Yeah,
Then
he was
yeah.
doing things in black and white when it was out. So, I mean, he'd been
Yeah.
around for quite some time.
Let's see. Oh, he was Shaw. Just one episode, but he was on Gunsmoke.
Hmm.
I watched some Gunsmoke, and I watched some Bonanza.
Who didn't watch some gun smoking some
Cades County.
bonanza?
Now I didn't watch Cades County, but I've heard of it.
Yeah,
It was another one of them old westerns. I
right.
heard. Well, growing up as with a semi, I guess as close to a cowboy in the southeast can get as a grandfather. I watched a lot of old western stuff, man. Cow
How?
public
Yeah,
what public cowboy number one or something like that.
I don't know. I didn't grow up
Dean
watching a lot
Autry.
of it, but I
Oh,
did
dude, I
pick it up.
grew up. Oh my gosh, I grew
I
up on
did pick,
all of
pick on later in life. I picked up on the Western stuff. When we moved to Florida, my dad, who obviously was retired, he was always watching Grit and the Western Channel
it.
both.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'd be watching what you just mentioned, Gunsmoke and Bonanza and Big
Hmm.
Valley and the Rifleman. And
Yeah.
um,
Oh, the Rifleman. I watched that a lot too.
yeah, then there was the The what's the name of what Tales of Wells Fargo,
Hmm.
and there was the movie, the TV show Cheyenne. I think it
So
was called
the
Cheyenne.
Tales of Wells Fargo. Now, a lot of people don't realize this too. Yes, it's the same Wells Fargo as the bank. It's the same one as you deal with today.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that. So Wells Fargo and some other some other big business I can't remember started the Pinkertons. So it was the banks and the railroad that started the Pinkertons,
Yes,
who
and
actually
that
are when after Billy the Kid. That's what's the name? He became a Pinkerton and tracked them down. But yeah, it was Wells Fargo running the railroads and stuff.
and talking about the Pinkerton and the Wells Fargo, that leads up to the James Younger gang.
Yes.
A lot of stuff with them and everything. So American Outlaws, great movie. Watch it. Um, this movie here, how did this compare to you to the original one, Every Which Way But Loose?
um, I haven't watched any Which Way But Loose in my adulthood, but from what I can recall, I think up until this point, I wouldn't have been able to tell them apart. Like I wouldn't have been able to, you know what I mean? I just remembered the monkey.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the first one. I recall he was fighting in it too, but I don't recall enough about it, honestly, because like I said, I haven't seen it since I was probably a preteen.
If I was comparing the two together, I like this one much better. I think the other one's pretty good too, but I do like this one better though.
Okay.
Spider, the Black Widows are in both movies, obviously causing him trouble. He
Was
meets Sandra Locke in the
Clyde
first
a
one.
little? Wasn't if this is the one thing that I think I feel like I remember. Wasn't Clyde a little more central to the story in this one? Like, what didn't
Prob-
he have screen time?
I probably had more screen time in this one than the other one.
I felt like he did. I felt like that was the case, dude. When they were in the barn and he's like, "I'm not sitting beside no dirty monkey," and the daggone bartender was like, "Hey man, Clyde ain't no dirty monkey. He's real
and,
clean."
and who's the bartender?
Oh, I don't remember.
I as soon as I seen him, I was like, Major League. He's the coach on Major League.
Oh, really?
Dorn,
I didn't even notice that.
get out there and take
I,
one for the team, Dorn.
what was hilarious about it, he's like, "Well, I'm gonna get up and throw him out myself," and then y'all know where when you go up to the bar, they still got them in most restaurants today, where the waitresses come up, they got those little brass colored pieces of metal that roll over the little bar, you know.
Right.
Well, Clyde reaches over and just bends one. He just scrapes it over. He's like, "Oh, maybe I will have that other beer."
Yeah, I'll just have another beer after all. Then as he leaves on the way out, he reaches over and kisses him on the lips.
Yeah, he comes up to him and like puts his hands around him and pulls him into him and gives him a kiss. And when his brother came up and said, "Come on, Clyde, you getting ornery or whatever it was,"
Uh,
he kind of grows on you, don't he?
well, he said quit playing with the bananas because the guy
That's
was
what
wearing
it is.
a
Yeah,
big yellow shirt
big
and
yellow
everything.
shirt. Yeah, he said, "Quit
Yeah,
playing
and
with
he
the bananas." But the
yeah
dude
looks
he
at the
just turned around and says, "He kind of grows on you, don't he?"
yeah look at the bartender. It was great. And yeah, the guy played the head coach and in there, and he's the one that the real gruff sounding guy when he talks, and he's yelling at Charlie Sheen's like, "Come on, Ricky, give him the fastball, bring the heat." And
Yeah.
he ends up in a hospital with a heart attack or something. He's listening to the ball. He's not supposed to have anything to do with the ball game. And the nurses are looking at him, and he tells them he's watching a soap opera. He's listening to a soap opera on the radio.
That's hilarious.
Oh gosh, yeah, this is that. I think it's definitely a better one though than the other two. Um, when you think now, let's bring Clyde back into into the picture again.
I have a piece of
Um,
trivia for Clyde.
what's that?
That CT, what was it? Said his name CT.
CT the orangutan or something like
CT
that?
the orangutan was the replacement for the Manus the orangutan, the original Clyde,
Yeah.
as he had grown too much in the 2 years since the first movie.
Yep, but you can hardly tell the difference in them, really. I mean,
You
they
wouldn't
pretty much
notice
look
unless you were paying
identical,
close attention.
right?
His face is a little darker. I think CT is a little darker colored than the first one.
This movie, as well as Every Which Way But Loose, were two of his most successful movies.
Wow.
Um, both were this both when adjusted for
Wow.
inflation, and you wouldn't think that. Would you think Dirty Harry or one of his
Yeah.
westerns? One of his
Yeah.
westerns, probably. But maybe back when you think about it, back when his westerns were going on, there wasn't as much of a cost for movies or anything to get
True.
into them. The filming wasn't as expensive.
But we
Um,
didn't finish your sentence. We didn't finish your sentence. They said when the inflation into constant dollars, this
yeah,
movie ranks in the top 200 grossing movies of all time.
yeah, which is quite
That,
a thing to say considering how many movies there have been all time.
no doubt.
So, I also thought it was cool about some of the, and I'll get back to Clyde in just a minute, but cool about some of the people that were kind of like guest stars in the movie. You should say,
Hmm.
like now in the movie, uh, and included on the soundtrack, Clint Eastwood sang a duet with the legendary Ray Charles titled "Beers to You."
Yeah.
I don't recall hearing it. I didn't pay. I guess I didn't pay close enough attention to hear it, but I did notice Fats Domino. I think it was up there.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was wondering about if that was actually Fats Domino because she said, "Oh, they're here to see Fats anyway."
Yeah, yeah, it was
But he
him.
was young, and
Yep,
so I was like, "Was that Fats Domino?"
it was him. There was Glenn Campbell in there at one point up there singing. He sang the title song.
Glenn was the one that took the stage after she went off of it, wasn't it? In the very beginning, was
Yeah,
that Glenn? Yeah, I
he
thought
also
so.
sang. He also sang another one later in the movie as well too, though, and it was the title of the "Any Which Way You Can." Was the title song. So,
Ah,
and now she has one she actually sang on there also.
okay, that's cool. I think it's funny too that Clint Eastwood took a mega dose of vitamins and ate boiled potatoes like popcorn to bulk up for his role, and he still wasn't that big.
No, he was not that big at all, really. I mean, he just didn't look like he had a lot of fat on him or anything.
You know who did
Yeah,
look jacked though in his tight little t-shirt was his brother, dude. I always thought of
yeah,
that dude as a little fella, and I was like,
right.
yo, he's got a chest on him.
Maybe he worked out too.
He might have.
Do you remember when he pulls up? Do you remember when he pulls up? He's trying to get to Philo and her to let
Hmm.
them know about those people looking for him,
Yeah.
and he rushes up there to
Out to the cops. You and your girlfriend want to race me there?
yeah. he, he
He
says,
turned his
"Hey,
hat around backwards. He took the time to turn his hat around backwards. I was like, oh hell, what's he about to do?
yeah, well, what was it?" He asked him. He said, "Can you tell me where the such and such hotel is?" And they're like, "Oh, sure, buddy. It's you can turn right up here and straight down the road so many miles or a minute, and you can't miss it. It's right there." And he, thank you, thank you. And he takes time, like you said, to flip his hat around, and he goes, "You and your girlfriend want to race me there?"
Dude,
He
they
takes
jumped up.
off.
Too. They jumped up.
They did.
That
That
was
was
one thing that was funny to me about this movie too, was some of the language used in it. I was like, what? Like I kind of caught me by surprise there.
now.
They
I don't
used
know. I
they
don't know
used
when they
the F
did this.
word. They used the F word we ain't supposed to use no more. That English people call cigarettes and everything.
Yeah, well, that's a different time though.
I know it
Different
was
when they were doing
hilarious.
all that.
I was like, look
Um,
at that. I can't lie. I laughed at that though.
we laughed at everything, man. Come on. The movie, I don't remember this, but it says the movie later on had a major re-release on a double bill with its predecessor, Every Which Way But Loose.
Now I
So,
can remember them playing both of those, and I can remember that being a double feature in the drive-ins when I was young.
hmm
And then I can also remember them doing a couple of them. We have a movie theater at a place called McAllister Square. It's not. We still the locals still call it McAllister Square, but uh, Greenville Tech took it over and stuff like that. And there's some other learning things in there. But anyway, the uh, the Carmike is still there. It's called the Carmike Cinema, and
yep.
it's family owned, and it changed hands. But they did stuff like that. I can remember there being a double feature of that. I can remember some Bruce Lee double features, and I remember when Faces of Death 4 came out, we went. They did a double feature of Rocky. It was the last showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show in the theater. They said, and then they did so you go in and you see Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then at midnight they played Faces of Death.
I remember double features at the drive-in. I grew up in a little town called Waverly, Tennessee, and I remember the drive-in there. We did double features. The last double feature, I can tell you honestly, the last double feature I watched there, I want to say, and I don't think these came out in the same year, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think it was The Goonies and
Mm-hmm.
Pray for Death. The Goonies
Oh,
was first, And I think it was Pray for Death right after that. I don't think they're the same year though.
The last double feature I could remember at a drive-through was the one up here off of Augusta Road, and they did. It was on two different screens though. They had two double features. On one of them, no, it was what they call it. They call it the matinee because it was like an all day thing. It was like a movie marathon. Anyway, I remember the two being grouped together was Enter the Dragon and Delta Force, whichever it was, the one where they stuck his head in the bag with a rat, because that's the one
Hmm.
I'll
Oh,
never forget.
that's not Delta Force. That's
Missing
Missing in
in action,
Action 2 in the beginning.
missing in action two. Then so I was because I'll never forget. I was on the swing set and I remember my cousin going, "Ew, Christy." She went, "Ew, look at that." I turned up, look, and they was stuck for the. I was like, "Oh, dude!" And then when they pulled the bag off, and it's on the dude. For those of y'all that have never seen a drive-in theater, it dwarfs a movie theater. Like these things would you take four movie theaters and make one drive-in? This thing was huge. So yeah, I'll never forget that. And then they had it was Grease and something else after Grease that was playing on the other screen.
And I just checked it to be sure what I said a moment ago. It was back to back Goonies and Pray for Death. Both came out in 1985. So
Okay.
1985 was the last time I seen a drive-in movie.
Heck yeah.
It was a double feature. It was a great double feature that night too. Because I
I don't
love.
even know how old I was, man, because they closed all the drive-ins
Well,
were pretty much closed down right here mid '80s.
it's Pray for Death is one of my favorite Shokasugi films he did. And you know how I feel about Goonies. I love the Goonies.
Oh, everybody loves
So
Goonies.
I mean, I don't know if you don't like the Goonies, don't talk to me. I don't know what to tell you.
Ah,
Goonies was great. I also mentioned what was I going to say about Clyde earlier? So bring Clyde back into the picture, I guess. Back to the movie.
mm-hmm.
Do you think the movie would have been as successful if Clyde wasn't in those movies?
Absolutely not.
Because I mean, I think he adds a lot of charm to the movie that it didn't have to begin with.
For absolutely, and like I said, even like when my mom makes to this day, she'll make references to it. She'll
Mhm.
or me and dad will be going to the lake or something, going somewhere because he lives downstate and I don't know his area that great. He'll be like, left turn, Clyde. You know what I mean? Like they
Mhm.
still make references to that,
Right.
but Clyde is what they remember. You know what I mean? Like they don't remember they don't remember Clint Eastwood's name from the movie, but they remember Clyde.
I tell you one thing the movie
And
did though.
my son came in there, and as long as Clyde was on the screen, my 12-year-old was in like, ha ha, that's funny. Like he loved the monkey,
Yeah.
the
Well,
ape, the
everybody
ape.
likes.
Sorry, not the monkey, the ape.
If Clyde was here, he would tell you
Yeah,
he's no monkey.
dude.
Um,
Oh my God, hang on. So before we get to favorite scenes in the movie, what was your favorite scene with Clyde in it? Because I got mine. Oh my God, it killed me.
man, it's a lot of people say it's when they got the girl orangutan for him and brought it. And they got the room, and
Okay, so
he's showing out for her in the room and everything. Mine is where he tells him scrap the caddy.
and then Mama Fratelli.
Hey, Mama Frit, that's not Mama Fratelli. Come
Yeah,
on.
I don't care. That's her. Look, no, so that was my favorite part, but it wasn't when they got there. It was before that. It
Poor
was when
old defenseless lady.
it was when he was telling no, you're thinking about it. No, that was Mama Fratelli, dude. I
No, it's
promise you.
not. It is not Mama Fratelli.
Not the one that with the couple that was in the room.
Oh, her, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ann
that was Mama
Ramsey.
Fratelli.
Yes, that was. I thought you were talking about the mom.
No, not his
Um,
mama. The mama where she's like, "We're getting out of here," and she was bent
yes,
over
that
and
was
kept looking.
her. That was Ann Ramsey. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, gotcha. But no, so right before that scene where they're going to they're going to kidnap the girl from the zoo,
Hmm.
and he's telling Clyde how to stick her with the dart, and then Clyde sticks himself with it.
Yeah.
To me, that was just absolutely
And he's
bonkers.
like, Clyde, sometimes I think you got a substance issue or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because when he, dude, that's the other thing that had me dying because I don't. They may have, but I really don't see them having poured sweet tea in the bottle of Jack Daniels or whatever Jim Beam that was sitting on the table. Clyde was like steady to grabbing after the daggum liquor and the alcohol, the beer. Like he was when when he was getting up from the table, he reached over and he grabbed that bottle of liquor and turned it up, and Clint Eastwood was like taking it away from him.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way this would have been. I don't think as successful without Clyde, man. Clyde was the star, man.
There's one thing in the movie that they did mess up on, and
Yeah,
anybody seeing it, they knew. I understand it's a movie, right? But I mean, let's be realistic about some things. When he's being chased by the Black Widows, and he cuts down that road where they're doing construction on the road, and he swings the truck again down another road and causes all that dirt to fly up everywhere, and they can't see what they're driving into, and they
yeah,
drive under the asphalt thing,
yeah.
and it's coating all of them with it basically
Mm-hmm.
until when they stop, it's drying up on them and they can't move no more.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But I mean,
But I
let's
mean,
be honest. How hot is that stuff going to be?
you would probably have gotten killed.
Yeah,
Like,
they
yeah,
wouldn't have made it through that. So it's kind of unrealistic at that point. I,
yeah,
I wish it'd been something a little bit different that they were doing. Not just that. It could have been something
yeah,
different to make it a little more realistic. So it would be like just a little more believable for me, I guess.
yeah,
But that's the only thing I can think of that they messed up on in the movie. Really, that just kind of that stood out.
yeah.
Everything else is pretty much fine. But um,
That and
one
when
more.
they threw the dude into the one thing that I noticed that was like, dude, really, like, wow, was when they threw the dude off the balcony and he went into the daggum roof of the car, but only his legs was still like, how'd he get that far in the car? like,
Right,
like, like it was only hit from his knees down were sticking out the windshield. It was like, good grief,
right. It
that's
was
a big
crazy, wasn't
car.
it? I want to ask a question for everybody that's listening and you as well.
Hmm.
And For those of you who are listening, I want you to either go to the social media where you'll see it listed on Facebook or on Instagram, or you can email it to us if you want to, retrolifeforyou at gmail.com. But if you could hang out with Philo and Clyde for one day, what would the three of you do?
Oh man, I just have to. I don't know. I don't know. I would have to take Clyde to the bar because he was hilarious.
I figured that's what most everybody will say. Everybody will say take the two of them to a modern bar, to one of your local modern bars, and see how that breaks down, how that goes.
Yeah,
Somebody else had asked me a while back. I've actually watched this movie months ago. Again, I've seen it. I've seen it quite a few times in the past. But
yeah.
one of the last times I watched it, somebody asked me if I thought the movie deserved a remake, and I'm like, I just there's a lot of things that are older that I don't want to see touched
Yeah,
because they're perfectly fine as they are, and there's no need for a remake on it. And I feel like those two movies fall under that protection of not needing a remake.
I do too. And the other thing that I feel like about those, if they were, I feel like if you were to try to remake those movies, I feel like they'd try too hard. Either they'd try too hard with the comedy with Clyde or something. I just don't think you could capture that same magic that this movie had.
I don't know if you've seen it or not, but Clint Eastwood had said that the orangutan, Clyde's one of the most natural actors I've ever worked with. But you had to get him on the first take because his boredom level was very limited.
Right? I could see that. I could see that for sure.
Did you see that who he was requested for his next? Do you remember they took him for that the female orangutan and got that for him? Did you see
Yeah.
who his next girlfriend he wanted to get was?
Oh, the Playboy model.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
tells him it's Terry Peterson was Miss July in 1980. It says, and I remember he says in the movie, he goes, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get that one for you, buddy. It might be a little bit tougher. And he holds up the banana to him.
Yeah. Hold on.
That's
Repeat that. I got to type that in. You said July 1980. That's my birth month.
what it says. Miss July of 1980. Terry Peterson.
Terry Peterson.
Yeah.
July 1980. That's my I should know that because I have my birth month Playboy that my wife got me on she got me off of online something.
That would be it. Here's what you were talking about. Luther Quince and Loretta Quince was played by real life husband and wife, Logan Ramsey and Ann Ramsey.
Oh, they were really married. That's cool.
Yeah.
Mama
Really
for
cool.
Kelly's old man,
When
Daddy.
he goes, when he goes to show out for, like you see in each room,
Oh, and he threw his back
Clyde's
out.
showing it. Yeah, he picks that chair up over his head and he throws his
She,
back out automatically.
she was like, it was a heroic effort, though. That was a really heavy chair.
Yeah, someone crashes into the station wagon. It's okay, we can buy another one. Come back to bed.
That was so funny. Yeah, this is a good around fun movie. I would recommend it.
I guess for some little pop culture here, Poppy, the orangutan who played Clyde's girlfriend, lives at
Hmm.
the same ape sanctuary as Michael Jackson's chimpanzee Bubbles, along with many other retired show business apes.
I love that Roger Ebert found it hard not to feel a grudging affection for the movie. He said he wasn't a fan of it, but he feels a grudging affection for it. That's pretty cool.
All right, so we get here to the actual. We're getting close to the end of the show here, and we've talked a lot about this movie so far.
Mm.
Do you have a favorite quote or one-liner from the film?
Right turn, Clyde.
That's got to be "Right Turn, Clyde." It's
It's
got
got
to
to be
be
right turn,
because that
Clyde,
stands out the most of everything. It's got to be that, no matter what anybody says.
for sure.
Um, there was
But aside from that, I really think that it wouldn't the quote wouldn't be as good without the quote doesn't make sense without the visual. But the when Clyde kissed old boy in the yellow shirt, he goes, "It kind of grows on you, don't he?" That was I like that one pretty good.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I
I
guess
also like them going back and forth with Philo and what was his name, Jackson, Philo, and the guy who was going to fight,
yeah,
the guy who fought at the end, Jack Wilson.
yeah.
I like them going back and forth. Even no, I owe you one.
Yeah, you won.
No, you
The,
owe me one. No, we're even now. I like
the
that back
fight
and
was the fight was good at the end of it. They finally get both of them get tired. And they're just sitting there
yeah,
after
stop
they're
drinking
then
beer together.
and he's they each get someone hands Philo a drink and he takes a drink of it and the other guy says something about we could just stop it now and he goes no
No, we're
Philo
even.
says we stop it now and the guy goes will it be even he goes nope you owe me one.
Yeah, he said, not while I'm standing.
Yeah,
Not while I'm still standing.
so they keep going. I thought it was a pretty good fight too. They had a little
Oh, the
nice
fight
little
scene was
choreographed fight.
great.
That was great.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about the fight scene, there was a couple of the wide shots where you could see him missing by a mile.
Yeah,
But other than that, I mean, but I overlooked it. I was like, hey, I'll forgive that because it was an entertaining fight scene.
yeah. Well, I mean, overall, how would you rate the movie for people that if you're wanting them to, if you're trying to convince someone to watch it today, overall, how would you rate the movie to them and what would you say?
Well, if I'm gonna try to convince you to watch it, I'm gonna have to give it a high score. But if I was to rate it, I would say it's a I would give it I would give it a 6.5 out of a 10. I think about a 6.5.
6.5. I was going to go 7. That's what I was going
I
to go
wanted
because
to
I
go
mean,
7, but I'm like, meh, because I feel like the opening of the movie, the cinematography being aged as it is, and then it takes you a minute to really get into it. And if you're watching the uncut version, it has the mongoose and the snake fighting. My wife didn't
yeah,
like that too much. Uh, you know, uh, it might take you a few minutes to get into it. It might take the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film for you to get invested.
right. Unless you're somebody who's seen the first one,
Right,
and
you're all in.
so you're already drawn in from the first one that you've seen, and you're just waiting to get your first glimpse of.
As
Um,
far as the sequel goes, I'll give it an 8 out of a 10.
well, that's what we watched. We watched the sequel.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you're doing it as a sequel, as overall movie, I'm gonna stay stuck at 6.5. But if you're giving it like a sequel rating, I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. It was a great sequel.
Yeah, because we both thought it was better than the first one, basically.
Mhm.
So yeah. Like I said, overall, I'm gonna go with a 7. I'm not gonna give it a sequel rating just because I mean it's just the one movie I'm putting out there for you to watch. But
Yeah,
I would definitely encourage you to watch it if you're a Clint Eastwood fan. It's a
definitely
must see.
for sure,
A lot of his late '70s into the '80s movies are must see movies for Clint Eastwood.
for sure.
I know in the '80s people think a lot of Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Chuck Norris and um, you know, some people like that. And he wasn't big in the comedic area like some of the like Robin Williams or
Mhm.
um, gosh, Chevy Chase or
Yeah.
someone along those lines. But I mean, his
But if
movies
you
were
attach
very
Clint
good.
Eastwood's name, if you attach Clint Eastwood's name to a movie, you know it's going to be good. You know you're about to watch a good movie.
You're about to watch a good movie for
You're
sure.
about to watch a good movie. It don't matter what it is. It's about to be a good movie.
Yeah. So I guess with that being the case, we're going to start wrapping the show up. Then, if
Sure.
you're new to the show, listening, we appreciate you turning in and listening to us to tuning in, not turning in, tuning in and listening to us today. Make sure you follow us, whether you're listening on iTunes or on Spotify. If you're on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating on there if you like the show, and if you're listening on iTunes, go in there and leave us some feedback on there, and a rating, because it definitely helps put us out there for others to see for the first time, might not know about us as far as recommended podcasts for the genre we're doing. So we're on what TikTok, not TikTok. I'm sorry, Instagram and Facebook are the two social medias that we put most of our stuff on. We have YouTube, and YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/ at retro life for you, it'll put you right there at our page with our videos and everything. So you can see everything, most everything we have on video. Everything's definitely on audio. And when you get a chance to listen to some of the back episodes, definitely suggest that, except for the first two or three because they were kind of rough. you
Oh,
you
maybe
don't
not.
know you don't have to overlook that. We were just starting. We were newbies, but
Yeah.
we have gotten better. www.retrolife number 4 the letter u.com is the webpage, and if you go to the show notes of the episode, you can see the video
And you can
playing
listen
there
from
that's on
there.
YouTube, and you can
And you can
listen
listen.
straight to the browser like
Yep.
Travis just said. Listen to the browser. uh
Yep.
Travis, did you have anything you want to leave us with today?
I feel like Clyde right now. I like my women like I like my favorite two Clint Eastwood movies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Dirty Harry and Every Which Way But Loose.
Oh my god, here we go.